When watching Frieren for the first time, I couldn't shake off the feeling of anxiety. Things are looking too good, and something terrible is bound to happen in order to propel the story in whatever direction, but it never did. Hello comrade, my name is Mahis. Come, get yourself a beverage and sit down with me. We got shonen toxins to get rid of. Spoiler warning, just in case. Maybe I didn't say it right. Something bad did happen. The group has split up, time has passed, and Himmel the hero got his deserved eternal rest. Yet it wasn't anything like Goldie Roger's death, which started the golden age of piracy, or any other significant event that we usually see in the early episodes of standard shonen. It's almost like the show is called Beyond Journey's End, and we totally ignored this fact. I say we because I love watching reactions, cause I'm curious what other people think, and pretty much everybody came in expecting some grandiose tale only to be brought back to earth with the slice of life aspect of this anime. No wonder many viewers lost interest so quickly, as it's pretty much the polar opposite of how watching a shonen should feel. The high-octane, dopamine-releasing and attention-grabbing hook got replaced with a slow, character and emotionally driven narrative. Basically, your morning coffee that you've been drinking for the last few years got replaced with a glass of water, and now you feel withdrawal since your brain is demanding its usual stimulation. However, this wasn't done with the purpose of, look how different we are from the rest, come and watch our show because it's such a unique snowflake. No, watching it this way helps us relate to the main character even though we don't understand it until much later. Frieren feels the same. She just met these people, and this 10-year journey is merely a series of brief flashes, nothing special. It would take her 5 times that length to even begin to realize how important those moments were. The pacing of the story is telling a story in and of itself. First episode we skipped half a century, then 20 years, then a few, and as we go further, time seems to slow down because Frieren the mage and we the viewers start to grow attached to it and everything that comes along, like people. Characters are the center point of this narrative, who stitch together the overall plot. Usually, it's the story that brings characters together, like in a case of a young ninja, who on his quest of becoming a Hokage meets his peers, mentors, and so on. There is an overarching goal of reaching Oriel to meet Himmel the hero, yet it hardly trumps the Elven Granny's newfound desire to learn more about humans. The cast is certainly carrying the show, and there are 2 aspects of why that's the case: subversion of expectations or various contrasts, and the genuine human characteristics they all have. We know of the stereotypical shonen MC, young, energetic, and having some impossible goal that they will definitely achieve. At first glance, Frieren is nothing like the main characters we used to, but if you dig a bit deeper, you'll discover that she is socially awkward, overpowered, and pretty good at inspiring others. She also has less important attributes of a generic MC, like eating a lot, sleeping a lot, or being stubborn at times, so it's not like she's nothing we haven't seen before, yet Frieren still stands out because none of her traits seem particularly forced. Take Tanjiro. My biggest gripe with him is his absolutely insane mental fortitude. I just buried my whole family who got killed by a demon I didn't even know existed? It's fine! Tomorrow I'll be my regular cheery self and will make some dude take my money against his will for basket materials for my sister who got turned into a demon, because manners are very important for a teenage boy who just lost it all. It's completely unreasonable, and in contrast, every person in this anime feels like they have actually lived their lives and were not assigned a specific archetype to fulfill some storytelling purpose. Naturally, there are generalizations that we can make, like this is a mage, this is a warrior, and this is a total dick. There's nothing completely new, and what makes these characters come to life are their attributes, which we can all relate to in some capacity. Frieren's thing was not appreciating the time she had until it was gone. Himmel represented that even if you're not perfect or not exactly what people expect, you still press on to achieve your goals. Aizen is about being afraid but still having to do whatever you need to do. And Hyder showed us that doing corrupt stuff within reason, like drinking every once in a while, doesn't mean you're a bad person or detracts from your accomplishments. Then there is Fern, who was afraid of running out of time before finishing something important, Stark, who is constantly thinking about letting people down, and Zine, feeling like he missed out on doing what he wanted to do. I could probably continue with all the other characters, but I think you get the point with how these guys represent struggles of everyday life. The second half of Frieren character's appeal are various contrasts. Our lovely spell-collecting enjoyer is mostly a chill woman who's not even faced by a dragon, yet get her into a close proximity with a demon and rip and tear will be the last thing they'll hear. Seeing her taking Dracht's life with her bare hands or smiling in anticipation of fighting Aura certainly added to her complexity as a character. Another example, and probably a much better one, is Stark, who was introduced as a badass, revealed to be a coward, and then reinstated as a badass. He doesn't really juggle between the two Escanor style. Instead, he draws from both sides of his personality simultaneously, which looks way more authentic. He doesn't believe in himself that much because of how he was raised as a kid and later trained by Aizen, so he did require a bit of a push and some reassurance after. However, with every act of perseverance, he becomes more confident without reverting back to his cowardly self. It's still there and likely will never disappear, yet Stark won't let it control him. Many people say that he's a better version of Zenitsu, which is true when we compare them side by side, and even more so when we look at the cast as a whole. The axe-wielding protege is one of the few characters in Frieren who overexpress emotions, unlike with Demon Slayer, where almost everybody does so, especially when it comes to yelling. Thunder Boy's shtick of being obnoxious has to top that in order to stand out, leading to an overuse of this trope and making him extremely unlikable. In Beyond Journey's End, on the other hand, Mr. Stark's occasional shenanigans are almost welcome, because following two borderline expressionless characters would be rather dull. On top of that, he's often the reason said characters showcase various emotions, so it's a win all around. Oh, and we shouldn't forget about demons, as they also count as characters. They are very interesting, and I'm planning on making a whole new video about them since it's a breath of fresh air when it comes to enemies in anime. Cruel, selfish, deceitful, arrogant, evil, and a bunch of other adjectives can be used to describe them, yet I'll choose this one: predatory. Not like certain mechanics in video games, but a predator in a true Oxford Dictionary definition. An animal that kills and eats other animals. Just like we can't apply our morals to a lion, we can't do so to Frieren's demons. They are consumers, brother, and unlike in, I don't know, name an anime title, the only time you get a sad backstory about one is when it's fabricated to lure you into their trap. Fascinating creatures, and it was very ballsy on the author's part to write them like that in this economy. Following that, I want to talk about the atmosphere of this show. There is a word in Russian, lampovy, with the closest English equivalent being the word rustic. It's something that makes you feel warm or cozy, and the best comparison I could give is the first, maybe second and third season of SpongeBob. There's just something so comforting about it, and although it might be nostalgia of sitting on a couch in my grandparents' home eating sandwiches with melted cheese while watching it, I'll attempt to quantify it. Look at the visuals. Early Bob has these pastel, desaturated colors which are calm on the eyes, and in combination with chill music, they provide a very relaxing experience. In the later seasons though, colors are almost toxic. They make everything pop, which overloads your sensory organs in hopes of making you addicted to fast dopamine. Works on children, I suppose, and adults with a short attention span, yet that's not the target audience of Frieren. They too use much more soothing tones, which, again, with the help of beautiful music that reminds me of Divinity Original Sin 2, creates a stunning image you don't want to look away from. I can't say I dislike the style of My Hero Academia or Attack on Titan, quite the opposite, I enjoy them, but there is something about the scarcity of flashy screens, speedlines and bombastic action that is rather pleasant. It exists in the show, don't get me wrong, their fights are brilliantly animated with top-notch detail. Hell, if you pay attention to the clothes, you'll realize that somebody in the production team put their hearts and souls into them. Neither sound nor visual ever overstay their welcome or feel out of place. For instance, Hellsing Ultimate, a serious anime that imagines a conflict between Dracula, churches, and Nazi vampires,
That would be retarded.
has these random gags every episode that almost never work. Like, sure, Sarah's breaking up a fight between Alucard and Anderson by killing the mood makes sense, but the rest are absolutely unnecessary. Contrary to that, even minor details in Frieren have some relevance, and the observant viewer is often rewarded for noticing them. In one episode, you learn that the grandma has a spell that turns the grapes sour, and in the other, Aizen says that he loves sour grapes. Such an insignificant piece of info that doesn't whatsoever affect the plot, yet it ties together Frieren's hobby of collecting spells, the hero team's camaraderie, and her starting to appreciate those memories. This is also true for the opening, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't paid much attention to it other than the song, which is a shame because there is so much going on there. Like Frieren being positioned behind and in front of the teams she's traveling with. I won't dive into more detail as Murder of Birds and Overanalyzing Avatar did a far better job at this. Even the flashbacks don't feel like a chore to watch. If anything, I look forward to them because they effectively tell a secondary story about her old adventures. I can't express how weird this feels after remembering how I rolled my eyes seeing Sasuke in Itachi flashback for the 20th time. This show really appreciates your time, and although it is a slice of life that can usually be paced slower in comparison to other genres, it's not an issue at all. Take how they handle the time passed. A little montage of some mundane actions accompanied by a tranquil soundtrack. Not only does it provide a feeling of things happening on their travels, it also helps the viewer to immerse themselves into this journey. Other shows do that too. Training or studying montages are pretty common, yet Frieren just hits different for reasons I can't explain. Maybe because it varies every time, cause did you notice a particular lack of training sessions in this show? We saw Fern practicing basics for a bit, then combat once, and that's it. Same with Stark, he was terraforming with his axe, working out his body, and listening to some guy off screen. There is no need to show this over and over, because we already know that they're constantly training, which opens up the room for showcasing other activities like gambling. Although there was this one scene that I felt was a bit dragged out. The reveal that Frieren is suppressing her mana. This anime doesn't over-explain stuff, which I appreciate a lot since every other shonen does that excessively, and it's precisely why I felt like there was too much build-up for something I already understood. Speaking of which, the plot in the show is, very simple. Not to be confused with basic or pedestrian, there's nothing wrong with having a generic narrative so long as there is internal consistency and some level of creativity. It's only when a story tries to branch out into something that it's not, or introduces ideas that are poorly expanded upon, that we start having troubles. It's a bit early to say that all the loose ends will be tied up by Frieren's conclusion, but the way things have progressed so far, there doesn't seem to be anything too convoluted coming our way. Stories like ReZero or Slime have this issue, where there is just too much shit happening at once, and by the time you get your question answered, you either don't remember, don't care, or abandon the show completely. Of course, we'll have to wait for some plot lines to be explored, and some of them might not even be addressed, similarly to the Truth from FMAB, yet without having too many secrets everyone wants solved, the viewing process is much more enjoyable. As I've said earlier, the plot here is in the title, and mostly revolves around characters, putting great emphasis on their interactions, thoughts, and growth. There was this idea I had for a while of wanting to see a movie or something about a hero who defeats the big bad, and on the way back to quote-unquote submit the quest, revisits places they've been to previously in order to show how the land, as well as the characters themselves, changed in the process. Beyond Journey's End scratches that itch, as that's almost exactly what the MC does, but it goes a step further and adds new faces to the party, which both expands and enriches this idea. They go from place to place, solving issues big and small, while learning something new about their own self and about their companions. At some point, it felt like I was watching Avatar for the first time, a very warm and nostalgic feeling that no other show brought since, one of true adventure. It's just you, your squad, and a whole world to explore. Walking around, studying sword of magic, talking about something dumb like the clouds that look like turds. Who wasn't dreaming about that at some point in their life? I certainly did, and although I use games as a way to satisfy this fantasy, Frieren works just as well. Oh, and before we move too far away from The Last Airbender, Shyamalan be damned, there is one bad similarity between his work and Kanehiro Yamada's. Remember how Katara asked Aang for his name 18 minutes into the movie? I'm getting similar vibes every time Fern gets a revelation about Frieren. You spent 3/4 of your life with her and you only now learn of her hobbies so that she had her own teacher? I understand, it's for the viewer's sake that they don't dump all the lore at once, even excusing it by the granny not being very talkative, but it's still rather strange. Back to the plot. My favorite part about it is that things make sense, such as the story development or characters themselves. In the case of the former, we can look at our titular elf. She was pretty apathetic about everything most of her life, and only after the reality of losing someone special hit her like a truck, she started to learn to appreciate the memories she had as well as the moment itself. Like when Fern was happy to see the sunrise, and Frieren in turn was happy to see her students' emotions. As for the examples of the latter, we can look at the Minimi. This bundle of sunshine is one of the best written girls in anime, up there with Winry Rockbell. Take her tendency to think Stark is a perv when he's not doing anything of sorts. In most shows, it's just a gag because it's been there since Master Roshi, but here, it makes sense because she was raised by a freaking priest. Even Kraft the Monk complimented her piety, so of course anything even remotely inappropriate will be considered heresy. Also, can I quickly say that Fern is painfully realistic sometimes? I'm no Loki from Fairy Tail, but I've been in relationships, plus I have 4 sisters for crying out loud, and oh my god, this face is so familiar. Good thing that whether they are 5, 15 or 25, if the girl is grumpy, give her some snacks and you'll most likely be fine. However, by no means do I say that they're always frustrated with something insignificant, and though Fern does that occasionally, she usually has at least a semblance of a reason to be mad. For example, when Stark in all his teenage wisdom decided to get back at her for icing his cheek, he scared the living crap out of her by placing his hand on her shoulder. If you wonder what's so terrifying about that, remember that Aizen, who killed the Demon King, got spooked by this boy 4 or 5 years ago. He has so much raw power that this is what a girl must have felt like at that time. Luckily for everyone involved, there was an actual adult to have a talk with both of them and save the day, which is something we don't see in a lot of shonens, I must add. Instead of teaching young people how to properly behave and find mutual understanding, they only make it worse by highlighting toxic, problematic, or unproductive behavior. Frieren is just such a refreshing show. Unlike the others, which focus on getting to a certain point, be it killing a pop legend or simply becoming strong enough to defeat the newest baddest villain, this story is all about the journey and not the destination. I thoroughly enjoy spending time with these characters, and though there are concerns like what's Fern's frame of reference to call Stark small, this story is rightfully considered one of the best to come out in recent years. It was I, Machias, wanting to pat Frieren into the microphone. Have a great whatever time of the day you have. Until next time, cheers. We're recording one final test. Before recording, we're gonna record